Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear cadet, Assalamu alaikum. Our today topic is cube roots of unity. So, what do you mean by cube root of unity? Let me explain first of all the cube root. For example, we are going to find second root or square root. So, we say 2 multiplied by 2 is equal to 4, or 2 power 2 is equal to 4. We say 2 is the square root or the second root of 4. Similarly, if we have 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2, that is 2 power 3 is equal to 8. So we say 2 is the third root of 8. Similarly, if we have another example, 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2, that is 4 time product. So 4 time mean 2 power 4 is equal to 16, or simply we can say 2 is the fourth root of 16. Thus we can find any root of any number, second root, that is generally we say square root, or cube root, simply third root, or fourth root, fifth root, etc. So our today topic is cube root, that is third root. So first of all we prove the formula for cube root of unity. We will prove the three roots cube root of unity, then their property, and then we will come to exercise. So let me prove the first cube root of unity. Let x be the cube root of unity. Then let x is equal to 1 power 1 over 3 mean third root. 1 power 1 by 2 mean second root. Similarly 1 power 1 by 4 mean fourth root. So simply we can write this as, since we are going to find the third root, so we write this as in the form x is equal to third root of 1, or we can write this 1 power 1 over 3. So 1 power 1 over 3 taking cube on both sides. This become 3 cancel with 3, or x cube is equal to 1. Transforming 1 to left hand side, we get x cube minus 1 equal to 0. Or we can write this as x cube minus 1 cube equal to 0. Factorizing, so we have a formula a cube minus b cube. So by expanding a cube minus b cube formula, that is a minus b into a square plus ab plus b square. Using that fact, we factorize this term. So we get x minus 1 into first square of the first term, x square, plus first into second, x into 1, plus square of the second, equal to 0. Thus we get two factors, x minus 1 and other factor x square plus 6 plus 1 is equal to 0. So again, by the if the product of two factor is 0, then each factor is equal to 0. Or x minus 1 equal to 0, we get x is equal to 1. This is one root. Simplifying the second, we get x square plus 6 plus 1 equal to 0. So solving this equation, quadratic equation, by completing the square or by any method, by completing the square or by quadratic formula, you can solve this one. So I am going to solve this by quadratic formula, comparing this quadratic equation with the standard form of quadratic equation. We have a is equal to 1, b is equal to 1, and c is equal to 1. Putting the values of a, b, c in the quadratic formula, putting the values, we get x is equal to minus value of b is 1 plus minus b square mean 1 square minus 4 into value of a is 1, value of c is 1, divided by 2a, 2 into value of a is 1. So simplifying this term, x is equal to minus 1 plus minus 1 square mean 1 minus 4 divided by 2, or this is equal to x is equal to minus 1 plus minus under root 3 by 2. So minus under root 3, that is negative number, and negative square root of negative number is not possible. Therefore, we introduce a number which is called iota. The value of iota is equal to minus 1 under root, and it is called imaginary or complex root. So we put the value of minus 1 under root in this equation. So we get minus 1 plus minus 1 under root become iota, and the positive term remains under root 3. So thus we get two roots, minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2 and minus 1 minus iota under root 3 by 2. Two complex roots are two imaginary roots. So if we substitute this by a simple number, instead of writing this long term again and again, we simply denote it by omega. Let omega is equal to minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2. That is one root. And the second root, omega square. Later on we will prove if we take the square of this root, we get omega square this term. Or if we take omega negative root, and by taking the square, we get this term omega square. Later on this we will prove in the coming exercise. But here, for the first stage, let the first root is equal to omega and the second root is equal to omega square. Thus we get three roots, one with first one, and second omega square. These are three cube roots of unity. Now their properties, these three roots satisfy some properties. So we will prove one by one property. The first property is sum of the cube roots of unity is 0. So we will prove this term. Sum of the cube roots are 1 omega square. So according to the property, that become 1 plus omega square is equal to 0. We prove this statement. So by taking left hand side, this one 1 plus omega square. Since omega value is minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2, and omega square is minus 1 minus iota under root 3 by 2. Thus taking left hand side and putting the values, 1 plus omega square is equal to 1 plus value of omega is this one plus value of omega square. Now taking the LCM, 2 is the LCM. So there is 2 multiplied by 1, 2 minus this root minus 1 plus we write this iota under root 3 are simply the same, minus under root 3 plus minus 1 minus iota under root 3, or we can write minus under root 3. Here minus is missing, please note it down. Minus 1 minus square root of minus 3 divided by 2, or plus under root of minus 3 and minus under root of minus 3. Cancel each other, simplify these two. Similarly 2 minus 1 1 and 1 or minus 1 cancel. Are adding negative minus 1 minus 2, and this cancel with plus 2. Thus 2 minus 2 becomes 0. 0 by 2 is equal to 0 right hand side. Thus the result is proved that sum of cube root of unity is 0. Second property is product of the cube roots of unity is 1 is equal to 1. That is, we simply write 1 into omega square, their product. That should be equal to 1. So we prove this by taking left hand side, 1 into omega square is equal to 1 into value of omega minus 1 plus minus under root 3, or we can write iota under root 3 by 2, multiply by value of omega square minus 1 minus under root 3 divided by 2. So 1 multiplied by any term remains the same, these two factors. Again look at the two factors. We get the form A, if this is the first term, minus 1. Again here is minus 1. Same, first term is same, plus minus under root 3 and minus under root 3. So this become A plus B, A minus B term. So we have a formula A plus B, A minus B is equal to A square minus B square. Using that formula, this term become minus 1 square minus square of the second, yani minus under root 3 square, divided by 2 multiplied by 2 become 4. So simplify this term. Minus 1 square become 1 minus or square root of minus 3 square cancel with square root. This is only become minus 3. Minus become positive, so we get 1 plus 3. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4 divided by 4. 4 cancel with 4 1. Thus from the left side we get omega cube and from the right side we get 1. Thus the result is proved. We proved second property, that is omega cube is equal to 1, or the value of omega cube is equal to 1. Similarly, third property is reciprocal of cube roots of unity. Means both the roots omega and omega square are reciprocal of each other. Reciprocal mean that is omega is equal to 1 over omega square and omega square is equal to 1 by omega. They are reciprocal of each other. So we prove these two results. First, let omega is equal to, we can write omega is equal to omega into multiply and divide by omega square. The same term we can cancel again. So that is the same term. So that is equal to, if we multiply omega with omega square, that become omega cube divided by omega square. By property 2, we just proved omega cube is equal to 1. Putting the value of omega cube 1. So this become omega is equal to 1 over omega square. This is first result is proved. Omega is equal to 1 over omega square. Similarly, to prove the second, we take omega square is equal to omega square multiply and divide by omega. So by multiplying omega to omega square, that become omega cube divided by omega. Again using the second property of omega cube value is equal to 1. So by putting the values in this term we get 1 over omega. So from the left side omega square, right side become 1 over omega. Thus we prove two results. That is omega is equal to 1 over omega square and omega square is equal to 1 over omega. These two terms means both the cube roots of unity are reciprocal of each other, and we will apply these three properties. So learn it by heart. We will use these three properties. Sum of cube root of unity is equal to 0. Product of cube root of unity, that is omega cube, is equal to 1. And the third property, omega is equal to 1 over omega square and omega square is equal to 1 over omega. We can transform them into each other. And from the first property, for example, we have to find or we are going to change this term totally into omega square. So from this result, first result, 1 plus omega square, we can write this as 1 plus omega is equal to, transform omega square to right, become 1 plus omega is equal to minus omega square. Similarly, if we change into omega, so we write this as in the form 1 plus omega square is equal to, transform omega to right side, then we get another result, that is 1 plus omega square is equal to minus omega. So this we get three results. First result, sum of the three roots is equal to 0. Second result, 1 plus omega is equal to minus omega square. Third result, 1 plus omega square is equal to minus omega. So implying these three properties, we will prove the exercise. Come to exercise 2.2. Question 1. Find cube root of minus 1. Now, by the same process by which we proved the cube root of unity, process is the same. Let x is equal to third root of minus 1. We are going to find cube root of minus 1, so we write in the form third root of minus 1. And third root of minus 1 mean minus 1 power 1 by 3. Again, taking cube on both sides. This becomes x cube is equal to minus 1 power 1 over 3 cube. So 3 cancel, we get x cube is equal to minus 1. Transforming minus 1 to left hand side, we get x cube plus 1 equal to 0. So x cube plus 1, we can write this in the form x cube plus 1 cube equal to 0. Or factorizing, we have the formula a cube plus b cube. A cube plus b cube is equal to a plus b into a square minus ab plus b square. So using that formula a cube plus b cube form, expanding this formula, that become x plus 1 into x square minus x in x into 1 plus 1. 1 square become 1. So we get two factors, x plus 1 into x square minus x plus 1 equal to 0. Again by factorization, x plus 1 equal to 0 or x square minus x plus 1 equal to 0. So from the first factor x is equal to 1, we get first root. And solving this quadratic equation by quadratic formula, we get another two roots. So comparing this equation with standard form of quadratic equation, we have a is equal to 1, b is equal to minus 1 and c is equal to 1. Putting the value of a, b, c in the quadratic formula, we get, simplify it, we get x is equal to 1 plus minus 1 minus 4 and square root of 1 minus 4, or this become 1 plus minus square root of minus 3 by 2. Again minus 3 become 1 plus minus iota under root 3 by 2, because value of iota is square root of minus 1. Thus x is equal to, but value of omega, here we get 1 plus minus iota under root 3, but value of omega is minus 1 plus iota under root 3 and minus 1 minus. So change this into in the form of omega. We multiply and divide this term by minus 1 or by taking minus 1 common. So taking minus 1 common from the whole factor, this term become minus 1 in positive, that positive number become negative. Plus become negative, negative become positive. Minus plus iota under root 3 divided by 2. Now we see we get two values. X is equal to minus total common minus 1 minus iota under root 3, and second root minus 1 plus iota under root 3 whole divided by 2, this one. So but again change this into omega, writing the values minus, that is total common, minus 1 minus iota under root 3 value, that is omega square, and minus total common minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2, that is the value of omega. So thus we get three roots. First x is equal to minus 1, second minus omega square and minus omega. Thus minus 1 minus omega square are three cube roots of minus 1. Next, part 2, question 1. Find cube root of 8, positive number. So by the same process, let x be a cube root of 8. We can write x is equal to third root of 8. Third root of 8 means 8 power 1 by 3. Taking cube on both sides. On the right side 3 cancel. We get x cube is equal to 8. Or transforming 8 to left side, we get x cube minus 8 is equal to 0. Or we can write this in the form x cube minus 2 cube equal to 0. So x cube minus 2 cube mean a cube minus b cube, expanding by a cube minus b cube form. This become x minus 2 into x square plus 2x plus 2 square 4. So we get two factors. The product of two factors is equal to 0. Each factor become x minus 2 equal to 0 and x square plus 2x plus 4 equal to 0. Thus solving first one x is equal to 2 and second by quadratic formula. Comparing this equation with the standard form of quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0, we have A is equal to 1, B is equal to 2 and C is equal to 4. Putting value of A, B, C in the quadratic formula, we get minus 2 plus minus 2 square minus 4 into value of A is 1, value of C is 4, divided by 2 value of A1. Simplifying, we get minus 2 plus minus 4 minus 4 for the 16. That is minus 2 plus minus 4 minus 16 minus 12 under the root. Minus 12, simplify it, we can write this in the form minus 3 multiplied by 4. 4 square root become 2, or we can write minus 2 plus minus square root of 4 is 2 minus 1 under root iota, and remains the positive square root of 3. So thus we get minus 2 plus minus 2 iota under root 3 by 2. By taking 2 common from the numerator, we get 2 common. So we get minus 1 plus minus iota under root 3 whole divided by 2. Now again transform or change this into omega roots. So first root minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2, that is equal to omega. So we substitute from in this factor, that is the value of this factor changes into original roots. So minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2 is equal to omega. Similarly, from second factor, in minus 1 minus iota under root 3 by 2. Thus minus 1 minus iota under root 3 by 2 become omega square. And 2 is common, so both the roots become 2 omega and 2 omega square. Thus the first root x is equal to 2, second 2 omega, third root 2 omega square. So the solution set is 2 omega square are cube roots of 8. Next comes to question 2, part first. Simplification of omega. By property 2, we proved that omega cube, that is product of cube root of unity, is 1. So using this result, we can simplify any power of omega by transforming or by changing omega into this one, omega 3. So we change every power, every term, every power in the power of omega 3. So we can write the left hand side or by writing the expression omega 12 plus omega 58 plus omega 95 is equal to, we can write omega 12 plus omega 58, that is omega 57 plus 1, because omega 3 power 19, 19 multiplied by 3 become 57, plus because we are going to change this into omega 3 form. So first of all, simplify the power or change this into omega 3 form. So in omega 3 form, we write 57 is 3 multiplied by 19, and omega 1 mean omega power 1, plus we can change, how we can change omega power 95, that is omega 93 omega power 93 plus 2, because 93 we can change in the form omega power 3 multiplied by 31. 3 multiplied by 31 become 3 3 is 1, 3 3 is 9. 93 plus remains 2, or we can write this in the form omega power 3 into 31 into omega 2 become omega square. Now again change this into omega 3 form. So omega 12, we can transform this into simply omega 3 power 4, plus that become omega 3 power 19 into omega, plus omega 3 power 31 into omega square. Putting the value omega cube is equal to 1. That is equal to 1 power 4 plus omega 3 power 19 become 1 power 19 into omega, plus that term 1 power 31 into omega square. Simplifying these terms, 1 power 4, that is 1, plus 1 power 19, 1 into omega, plus 1 power 31 become 1 into omega square, or we can write this as 1 plus omega square. And by first property, the cube roots of unity, the sum of cube roots of unity is equal to 0. So using this property, 1 plus omega square is equal to 0. So the question is simplified. Next question 2, part 3. Again here omega, that is the cube root of unity. So we simplify the omega power. Look at this question. First, since 1 plus 3 omega plus omega square into 1 plus omega minus 2 omega square. So first of all, the method is change omega into omega square, omega square into omega, by using property such that we can get the simplified term. So if we split, we have two terms, 1 plus omega square. In this term 1 plus omega square, only omega is required. So split this term into two terms, that is omega plus 2 omega. So writing this term in the form 1 plus omega square, plus remaining of this portion is 2 omega. Similarly, in the next factor 1 plus omega, so the second term is omega square. We can change these two terms into omega square. How? By transforming, for example, we change 1 plus omega into omega square. So transform these two values, 1 plus omega, and transform omega square to right side. That become 1 plus omega is equal to minus omega square. So putting minus omega square instead of 1 plus omega in this question. 1 plus omega is equal to minus omega square and minus 2 omega square. Thus, in the next factor, 1 plus omega square by first property, that is equal to 0, plus 2 omega into, in the next factor, minus omega square. Now we can add them because they are like terms. Minus omega square minus 2 omega square become minus 3 omega square. So from the first factor we get 2 omega, and second multiply with minus 3 omega square. So multiplying the constant, minus 3 into 2 minus 6, and omega into omega square, multiply in multiplication form, the powers will be added. That is 1 plus 2. Omega power 1 plus 2 means omega 3. Thus putting the values of omega 3, minus 6 into 1 is equal to minus 6. So minus 6, so the total question is simplified. That is omega are the cube roots of unity changed into a simple term, simple number. Next, question 3. Prove that 1 plus 2 omega into 1 plus 2 omega square into 1 minus omega square is equal to 6. So we take the left hand side, and using the property we have to prove that total term that is equal to 6. So by taking left hand side, 1 plus 2 omega, 1 plus 2 omega square, and 1 minus omega square. Multiply the first two, we get this factor, any 1 into this total factor plus 2 omega multiplied by this factor. And in the next factor, 1 by taking minus common, 1 minus common, we get omega plus omega square. Again we put the value of omega plus omega square from the first property, where 1 plus omega square was 0. So omega plus omega square value become minus 1. So putting the value of omega plus omega square, we get 1 minus, and omega plus omega square is equal to minus 1. In the first term, if we multiply these terms, we get 1 plus 2 omega square plus 2 omega and plus 4 omega cube. Again substituting the values, we get 1 plus 2 common in both these two terms. If 2 common, we get omega plus omega square, or omega square plus omega, plus 4 omega cube value is 1. Into second factor become 1 minus multiply 1 minus multiply by minus 1 become 1 plus 1. Similarly, we get 1 plus 2 into, and value of omega plus omega square, again we put minus 1 plus 4 into, from the second factor, that is 2. Again simplifying this one, 1 plus 2 into minus 1 become minus 2 plus 4 into, in the second factor, 2. From the first factor, 1 plus 4, 5 minus 2, we get 3. 3 into 2, 3 into 2, 6. So we get the right hand side. Thus the question is proved. Come to part 2. Again simplification of cube root. Part 2 is minus 1 plus iota under root 3 power 4 into minus 1 minus iota under root 3 power 5. Here one term is missing. If it is given that minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2, that is equal to omega. So we change this as omega value is minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2. So how we can change this term into this one, the value of this one? We get the value of this term, minus 1 plus iota under root 3. So because we have omega is equal to this one, minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2, multiply both sides by 2, or by cross multiplication, we get 2 omega is equal to minus 1 plus iota under root 3 by 2, which is the given term. So, and secondly, omega square is equal to minus 1 minus iota under root 3 by 2. Again multiply both sides by 2. So we get, r by cross multiplication, we get 2 omega square is equal to minus 1 minus iota under root 3 by 2. So putting the values of these two terms in the left hand side. So taking left hand side, minus 1 plus iota under root 3 power 4 minus 1 minus iota under root 3 power 5 becomes value of minus 1 plus iota under root 3, that is equal to 2 omega. So we write 2 omega power 4. Similarly, minus 1 minus iota under root 3, that is equal to 2 omega square. Put the values 2 omega square power 5. Now simplifying these two terms, that become 2 power 4 into omega power 4. Multiply by 2 power 5 omega power square, 2 multiplied by 5 become omega power 10. Now simplifying the constant term, 2 power 4 16, 2 power 5 become 32, and omega power 4 multiplied by omega power 10 become omega power 4 plus 10, that is omega power 14. By multiplying 16 with 32, we get 512 omega 14. Now transform omega 14 into simplest form of omega. So that become omega power 12 into omega square. Omega power 12 we can write omega 3 power 4 into omega square. Is omega 3 is equal to 1, putting the values. So 1 power 4 into omega square. 1 power 4 again is equal to 1. So we get 512 omega square. That is the right side of the question, which is proved. Now come to question 4, part first. Show that x cube minus y cube is equal to x minus y into x minus omega y into x minus omega square y. So here from the right side, if we multiply the right side, we get the formula x cube minus y cube. So by taking right side, take the right hand side, x minus y into x minus omega y into x minus omega square. So if we recapitalize the formula a cube minus b cube or x cube minus b cube, we have two terms, x minus y into x square plus xy plus y square. So x minus y is the first term, so we left the x minus y and multiply the remaining two terms to simplify omega. Thus x minus y into these two terms, so we first multiply these two terms. Therefore x minus y into, multiplying these two terms, x into x minus omega square y, and minus omega multiplied by x minus omega square y. Simplifying these two terms, again x minus y the same into, that become x square minus xy omega square, and by multiplying this one minus omega y into x, we get minus omega xy plus, multiply this one, minus minus positive, plus omega cube y square. Y become y square. Thus we get x square, and by taking minus from minus xy common, so minus common, we get omega square plus omega and xy common. And from the last term we get omega cube y square. Putting the values here, omega cube is 1. So we get y square this term. And value of omega square plus omega from the first property, and 1 plus omega square is equal to 0. Thus we have by the first property omega plus omega square value minus 1. Putting the values, we get x square minus, and that is equal to minus 1 into xy plus 1, omega cube is 1 into y square. Thus we get the next factor, x square minus minus become positive, plus xy plus y square. So again we get the form x minus y into x square plus xy plus y square, that is x cube minus y cube. We get left hand side. Thus the result is proved. Similarly, question 4 part 2, simplification of omega. Prove that 1 plus omega into 1 plus omega square 1 plus omega 4 1 plus omega 8 is equal to 1. So by taking left hand side we can simplify. So taking left hand side and multiply any first two term and the next two term. From the first two term we write the same, 1 plus omega square. And next two term, if we simplify the power of omega and next two term, so we get omega 4 in the form omega cube into omega, and in the next term omega 8 in the form 1 plus omega 6 into omega square, changing into simplest form, or by putting the value omega cube is equal to 1. This become 1 plus omega square. Again omega cube is 1, so we get 1 plus omega. Similarly omega, that become omega cube power 2, mean 1 power 2. So again by putting 1 we get 1 plus omega square. So 1 plus omega and 1 plus omega repeats 2 times. Similarly 1 plus omega square repeats, so we get 2 times 1 plus omega into 1 plus omega. Similarly product of 1 plus omega square and 1 plus omega square. Thus we can write 1 plus omega square and 1 plus omega square whole square. Again product of two factor and the power is 2 same. This we can write by combining the two term. We can combine the two term, that is 1 plus omega into 1 plus omega square whole power 2. Again now simplifying these two terms, multiply both the factor, we get 1 into 1 plus omega square plus omega into 1 plus omega square whole square. So simplifying this bracket we get 1 plus omega square plus omega cube, or putting the values 1 plus omega square is equal to 0 using first property, plus omega cube, that is equal to 1 whole power 2. Again we get 1 power 2 or 1 square. 1 square is 1, that is equal to right side. So the question is proved. Result is proved. That is the end of our today lesson. Thank you so much. See you in the next topic. Allah Hafiz.